And welcome back to another episode of Business is Pleasure. I am your host slash co-founder of the Clarendon Trading Company, where we source, distribute, and market vintage, used, and hyped beast brands. My name is John Francis, and next to me is my beautiful business partner, Colette Monique Liebert. This is crazy, man. We're almost at a milestone for Business is Pleasure. We're going to be hitting episode number 40 soon. This is episode number 39. First off, thank you guys so much for constantly checking out our podcast, hitting us up in the DM, really just taking in our content and really implementing it for yourself. And without you guys, we are nothing. We are nothing. But the way we always start off Business is Pleasure is, how was your week? Babe, how was your week? I want to know. I'm interested.
I feel like I can't remember. My week was good.
Yeah?
Yeah, nothing really crazy. Just like working on stuff. We don't have any events yet, but we do. We have some coming up, so we're just been kind of planning for those.
Yeah, like how have you enjoyed like let's say about a month? Or about like half off events for like about a month and a half? Like how's that for you?
It's kind of weird. I'll on Friday night, I don't know, because I always do this thing, like, before I go to bed, I kind of, like, go over in my head, like, all the things that I have to do for the next day. And, like, it's just been weird, like, waking up on Saturday mornings and being like, oh, okay, like, I don't have an event to do.
Yeah, like, I actually can utilize this Saturday for something else.
Yeah. It's been cool. Like, I feel like I have utilized it the best I can, doing other things that I wanted to get done during this time. But yeah, it's been fun. It's been interesting, but I'm actually excited to go back to the events, not gonna lie.
Yeah, because we also got a new car as well too, right? Yay for us. So I'm like actually interested in like we don't have to bother people anymore to board their car, or we don't have to like rent cars anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like we're saving money while not being a nuisance anymore.
Yeah.
So it's nice just like continue that journey and also just to like continue doing things that work really well. And it's crazy too because like we've kind of like accumulated a bit of a community. So it's like, hey, we haven't seen like a lot of these people that we generally talk to.
I miss them.
Like, you know what I mean? It's just strange, right? So it's like we're getting back into like the normalcy of the business, especially on the weekends or whatever. So I think it's nice too, and also it allows us to like create more content, so to bring more value to people and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that.
And I think it's just nice to like appreciate this time too, because as soon as our first event starts, it's pretty much nonstop until December. So
yeah, until December all the way back around, right? And actually, even today, I actually created our tour dates, little poster flyer type of thing, and I think it's pretty cool. It's nice. So, guys, the name of our tour last year was called Fashion Forward, and I called it Fashion Forward because they sell vintage clothing, like you know what I mean. Try to be a little witty.
they're cute.
And then the name of this one this year, it's called Follow the Money. Because we've had this conversation where it's like a lot of times when you're in business, people don't more or less like stick to what's working and follow the money where you're getting the money from, you know? And for us, we realize, hey, like these events that we're picking out, we kind of already know, like, hey, like they're gonna work for us because they worked with us in the past. Our demographics there, and we've been able to build a community around it and everything, right? So I think it's kind of cool the name is like Follow the Money and everything, you know?
Yeah, like that's essentially what we're going for.
Yeah. And it's cool too, cause like we're now allowing people to like take the hassle out of thrifting, take the hassle out of searching constantly for like those pieces that they really want, and we're bringing it to them straight to them, you know. And I think that's one of the major things we've always talked about our business is like, yo, we want to make some type of process easier for our clientele.
Yeah, like we're providing them with, like, even though we're providing a product through clothing, we're also kind of providing a service where it's like we're trying to take all the legwork out of like thrifting or vintage shopping so that you can get like this, I would hope, perfectly curated piece or like outfit that like works for you, you know what I mean? And also like great quality that will last a really a long time, and that's at a fair price.
No, most definitely. And speaking of quality, like, how do you think the quality of our relationship has been able to hold up with us running the business together and everything?
That's a big question. I didn't think you were gonna ask it like that.
Well, now you gotta answer now. Honestly. Truth.
I feel like overall, like if I were to say like overall, like I think we've been good, we've been fine, like it's not like we're not together, it's not like we don't like interact and talk like we used to or anything like that. but like I do feel like there's times when like I would want you to be more like engaged with me, and like I just feel like you're always running Clarendon Co., which is obviously what you're supposed to be doing, what we're both supposed to be doing, but I feel like because you do it full time and I like do other things, it's like you feel like you don't have like that luxury to be like, yeah, like I'll answer this message later, or I'll do this later, whatever, whereas like I kind of will, and like sometimes I just feel like a little bit secondary, if that makes sense.
No, I think you're 100% accurate. Because I feel like with me, it kind of, like the mindset that I have right now for Clarendon Co., and it's not like an excuse or anything what I'm trying to say, I'm just trying to like put it in comparison. I remember when I first went to college, I ended up dropping out. So with me going back into college, I was like, yo, Jono, like you have to do like the extra mile now just to ensure that like you are successful, and you have to change certain habits. And I think when we first started Clarendon Co., we were so unsure about it. So there was different aspects where like, oh, well, whatever, like, you know, we were more like laissez-faire about it. So when I started doing Clarendon Co. full time, I made a conscious effort to myself. It's like, you know what, Jonna, like you have to like go extra hard and above and beyond that you normally would, you know what I mean? And it's like the unfortunate thing about that, it's like our relationship was one of those things where like I had to be like, hey, like, you know what I mean? Like we're not gonna be able to be as like intimate as we'd like. We're not gonna be able to engage as much as we'd like, because now I have to substitute that time that we would for the business and stuff, you know what I mean? But I think it's important that we don't ever forget to date one another. We have to understand as much as the business is important, our relationship is always going to be above the business, and it's always going to last longer than the business itself, you know what I mean? Because in reality, like if we don't have this business, we'll still be able to go on with our relationship, you know? But if we don't have the relationship, it's going to be hard because we're both such an integral part of the business, you know? So I think it's important that we understand, it's like, hey, like, yeah, John does do this full time, and like, you know what, I would like an extra hour with him a day, and sometimes I can't get that, but then I gotta make the conscious effort to be like, okay, well, I can't forget, like, yo, like, we're in an intimate relationship before we're in a professional one first. And of course, like, I've fallen trapped to that, because it's like a double-edged sword, right? On one part, the business is becoming better and becoming more successful, then there are aspects of our relationship that do slowly start to deteriorate, where it's like, I just want to focus on messaging people, and like, you know what I mean? I'm giving myself so much to our clients and our business, and it's of course like taking away from you and us.
But like I do feel like you have like grown a lot in a lot of ways, because like I remember when we first started our business and like we would have like arguments
all the time. I used to cuss you out all the time, yo.
Okay, you didn't cuss me.
I used to cuss her out all the time. Okay. She doesn't listen, yo. She doesn't listen sometimes. I used to cuss her out all the time, yo. I had to cuss her out all the time, man.
I cuss you out. You don't listen.
Okay, you cuss me out on one.
Okay, so yeah, I feel like we used to have times where like we'd butt heads a lot, and like we'd have like a lot of like arguments and stuff about the business. And like I feel like one of the things that used to frustrate me the most is like you wouldn't have like empathy for me as like your girlfriend. You'd be like, well,
I'm a business partner. Well, this is a business right now. Don't worry about that shit.
Yeah, like you'd be like, well, this is a business right now. Like you can't have emotions involved. But it's like, yeah, this is a business, but like there are emotions involved. Like it's not like all of a sudden like we switch from talking about our relationship to talking about Clarendon Co. and it's like, oh, switch off.
Yeah, everything's intertwined.
It's intertwined, and like I think like you have grown in a lot of ways, because before you didn't understand that, and now you do.
Yeah. I don't think you've grown at all, because you're like still sexy. I'm joking. I'm joking. No.
Cut that part out.
No, we definitely both have grown, because it's like if I run the business more, we're now getting accustomed to like how we should interact with each other in terms of like the business and the relationship, you know what I mean? Because everything is intertwined, you know what I mean? So for us to sit there and act like, oh, like, well, me and Ka just got in an argument about an order, I can't just sit there and expect her to just be all happy now because like we're watching a movie and we're like Netflixing and chilling, like, you know what I mean? It's
like
you know, we have to understand, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like we have to treat the business, of course, with the respect that the business does need, but at the same time understand that like our relationship still is in the whole mix of everything. And it's like, hey, like we can't forget like we're together, and like that always has to be at the forefront, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that has to be the priority. Like the business is great, and I'm like we both love it, but like I love you more.
Yeah, 100% love you more too.
So like
lion paw.
So like, you know, like we can't forget that, because then that's gonna fail and our business is gonna fail as
Yeah,
well.
because I think like if our relationship gets to a point where it's like deteriorates, our business is definitely gonna deteriorate. Because it's gonna be like,
I'll have to replace you.
you're like, okay. So what's the next topic? Our relationship and thing. So two things that we speak of relationships.
Are you upset?
I don't know. I'm not even taking you in right now. So
I feel like you're a little upset.
Okay. So speaking of, honestly, babe, I'm irreplaceable, so like, don't do that right now. I'm about to get
Babe,
cheesed.
you know that.
Don't touch me. I'm really upset.
Stop.
I'm upset.
You know that.
I'm upset.
I know you are. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, you know that. Don't be like that. I'm just joking.
No. I took that to heart. Okay, let me finish.
Okay, let me apologize.
No, I don't want to hear apology right now.
Listen.
You're breaking my hand. College, you're breaking my hand. Please
Okay,
stop.
Please listen.
Okay.
I didn't mean like that, babe. I was joking.
Well, I took it like that.
Honestly, you're
There's a truth to every lie still. There's truth to every lie
Can
still.
I talk?
No, I'm hurt.
You're irreplaceable.
Okay.
You know I love you. You're my best friend. I would never replace you for the world, okay?
Can you like apologize or anything? Like say sorry?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you.
Okay. I'm okay now, guys. That's what you gotta do sometimes, you know what I mean?
Okay,
You
so
gotta make them know.
Now I just feel manipulated.
You gotta make them know.
Now I just feel manipulated.
You gotta make them know. Okay. So
I can feel leaking.
so speaking of relationships, I think there are two major aspects that allow every business to like one be sustainable and two for growth. This is what I believe. I hopefully you feel the same way as well. Relationships. So that's with the community. That's with the people you work with, whether it be people you're sourcing with, whether it be other companies that you're collaborating with. Because once you have a solid foundation in whatever your relationship is, that's where you can realize, okay, this is working and we can build on that relationship. And hopefully it will be a positive thing for you and your business, you know?
Going forward, yeah.
Exactly. So it's like, hey, like if we don't have a good relationship with the warehouses that we go to, it's gonna be hard for us to constantly find good clothing because no one's gonna want to really work with us. If we don't have a good relationship with our clients, with customer service, asking questions and things like that, it's gonna be hard for us to retain those clients and to constantly bring them value because they won't want to really fuck with us anymore, right?
Yeah, and I think even with you saying that, like the simple definition of a relationship is that like it's mutually beneficial. You know what I mean? It's like you can't really be in a relationship whether it be with like your customers or your clients or like with warehouses or sellers or other businesses and expect to just like take all the time and not to give something in return or give something of like equal value that they can like benefit from. You know what I mean? Because that is like the idea of like a good and valuable and prosperous relationship. If you can't both bring something to the table that you both can mutually agree on and mutually see as like beneficial, then like you're wasting your time.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the hardest things for some people to understand, and that's why like you'll see like a lot of people constantly have like bad friendships because they don't understand the idea of reciprocation. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, if I'm driving you to work, I hope you have the wherewithal to be like, hey, like, let me give this guy some gas.
Yeah,
you know what I
oh my
mean?
gosh, I just remembered a quote that I was trying to remember for the longest time and I couldn't remember it, and you literally just helped me remember it. So it's reciprocity is the highest form of respect.
It's true. It's true. Because for you to say that, like, hey, like, I understand what they're doing, so let me do this, it's a mutual thing that we're both agreeing to, more or less like subconsciously, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's important in every relationship that we do have, we understand that like, hey, like, am I doing enough for my clients? And like, because at the end of the day, like, if you give me $1 or 10, I'll give you the world. Because for you to give us your hardworking money, the least we can do is be consistent and respect the value you're trying to bring to us, you know what I mean? And also, and that's what the other aspect of the two major things that are important, relationships, of course, and then consistency.
Yeah.
I think that's why our business has been able to make a little headway right now, because we've been so consistent. We've been really consistent with the marketing. We've been really consistent with the sourcing, really consistent with our distribution, our customer service.
Yeah.
So I think as long as we're able to have those good relationships while being consistent within those relationships and within our business, that's where we'll see the growth in the long term. Because I think a lot of the times people forget it's just that, like, for your business to go viral or to a boom or whatever, it can take one instance, right? But if you don't have a system that's in place or relationships that are in place, yeah, you can go viral, but then how are you going to sustain that now, right?
Yeah, it's not sustainable.
So that's why I think it's always important for us to be like, hey, like, we're going to be posting 3 times a day, 6 times a day, because like that's how we're able to get results that we want. We need to have once a month strategy sessions, because that's how we're going to sustain the business and everything, you know? So I think we always have to like just understand, it's like, hey, Is our relationships there? And are we being consistent within those relationships?
And I think one of the things with consistency, it allows you to kind of like analyze and assess like your process. Because like when you're consistent, like you're actually doing something, and a lot of times consistency leads to results, or either like results or the lack thereof. And when you are like, let's say it's consistency in like a positive way and it gives you positive results, you can then say like, okay, well, I was consistent in this sense and it brought me X. If I continue to be consistent with this and let's say scale it, so let's say instead of posting like 10 times a day, we post 50 times a day, like what result would that give? You know, it would be times 10 or times 5 of that, you know? So like, I think like that's one of the things, like it's hard to really like measure and assess like your business success when like you've gotten success off of not being consistent. Because like I feel like when you get success from not being consistent, it's like a one-off. It's like it's like a spur of the moment. It's like, yeah, you got lucky.
And it's harder to recreate.
Yeah, like you were in the right place at the right time, or like you got the right connect, or whatever the case may be. But that system, it's not a system. You know what I mean? That is a great thing that may have happened by chance, or not necessarily by chance, but it happened when it happened. But like in order to recreate that, that's not something that's necessarily in your control. So I think like when it comes to business, like consistency is like it's key, because like it allows you to assess and analyze and grow and scale and like do everything.
No, 100%. And that's why I think like the last maybe like 8 months of our business, why we've seen like such rapid, I'd say last year, we've seen like such rapid growth is because like we've been consistent. Even if you look at our Instagram accounts and how we're slowly building a following, the consistency behind that, right? And also of course the relationships that we've been able to build with that as well too, right? So I think like whatever it is, we got to keep those two things in the back of our mind. Is this relationship sustainable, and are we being consistent within that relationship, you know? And that's always important. It's even like right now, like how we're preparing for the upcoming season, we realized that last year, like, yo, why are we selling winter jackets in the summertime?
We literally went to, I swear, there was probably like 3 or 4 events.
I don't know how we made money when you look back at
it. There was literally 3 or 4 events that we went to.
Like no t-shirts. I don't know.
We had no t-shirts. We were literally selling winter clothing.
Yeah, and just crew necks.
In the summer.
Yeah.
Like I remember I noticed it when this one guy, I'll never forget, this one guy came up to us, not us, but he was like, he wasn't really saying it to me, but he was like looking through the racks and he was like, oh, it's winter stuff. And just like walked away, and I was like, he's right.
Yeah.
It is winter stuff. Like, what's going on? But that, honestly, like, in that sense, we were doing the best that we could in the situation, because we weren't, like, really thrifting that often.
Yeah, but like once a week, maybe twice a week.
Yeah, like once, twice a week, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, we weren't really being that, like, consistent with it. And that's the thing, like, the consistency that we put into the business to source our inventory has gotten us to this place. So, like, that in itself is just, you know, a good thing.
Yeah, no, most definitely, right? And especially, like, with the new season now, because right now it's January, and a lot of the stores are already making that transition over to the spring and summer stuff.
Honestly, this is the best time to buy winter clothing.
Oh, it's the best time. Everything's so cheap.
Like, we literally went in, where were we?
H&M, I think it was H&M.
No, it was Urban Outfitters.
Yeah.
And there was a Champion jacket for like, what, 300?
Yeah.
And it was on sale for 150.
You're like, what the heck?
Like half the price.
Yeah. And I think that's, do you ever think about that though? Like, we should start having like reductions in prices more frequently, or like having promotions more frequently, or whatever.
I've literally thought of it so many times.
Because we can easily do it through Etsy, right? Because so one of our business models is, guys, we use multiple apps to distribute our clothing, but the unfortunate thing is like the maintenance of the apps, right? It's not as efficient as we'd like. So I think like our main app would be like Etsy, because that's more so like our main channel or whatever. So with Etsy now, they have different I guess like different like sales that you can implement within your brand. So like we can easily be like, hey, like end of summer sale, bam, like all t-shirts on sale. End of winter sale, bam, all jackets on sale.
When do you think we should do that? I feel like we should do an end of winter sale, like end of February.
End of February, I could see that. That's a really good time, because that's when like spring's coming up. Everyone's like transitioning into like the shorts, the t-shirts, the lighter sweaters and stuff.
Or maybe even the end of January, because then
I think that's a bit too early.
No, but that's what you want. You want it to still be a bit early where people can be like, yeah, I can
Over
still
rock
use
it.
my jacket now.
No, you're right.
You don't want to do it so late where they're like, okay, I'm gonna wear this next year. Why am I buying it?
And also too, what's coming up too is Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we can like correlate those two things, like, oh, you know,
Yeah.
for the love of love, like, you know, like buy a jacket for your girl. So so something like that too, right? So yeah, I think that's something that's definitely like, we have to really keep an eye on too. And what do you think about like our whole off-white stuff and how that's coming along? Because I think that's one thing that like, honestly, every time I think like the hype stuff is gonna die down, it like.
I feel like we need to kind of like
expand on it.
Grab it by the horns and run with it a little bit more because like we do have access to it, and I feel like we could be doing more with it than we already are. Like, we should be the connection for every store in Toronto and all across Canada, if that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we should literally just be like the middleman between our supplier, just like sourcing it out all day, every day. Like, not just like our stuff, but just like making orders for people, sending it directly to them. You know? Because, like, why not? Like, it's great clothing, it's great quality, like, people want it, it's a desired product, so why not, like, capitalize off of that while it's so popular? Because we've seen it time and time again, like,
it's worth each time, and it's worth each time for us,
and like vintage has a little bit more longevity, but like all like the hype stuff, it's like people are in with it for a short period of time, and as soon as it's in, it's like it's not popular anymore, or like something else comes along that people want more, you know?
It's trendy. It's really, really trendy right now.
And even with like our supplier for like the off-white and stuff, we have access to a lot of other high-end brands too that we could also capitalize off of, because even though like we may not have the demographic or the market for it, who's to say that with a little bit extra research we can figure out places that do, or businesses that do, or shops or wherever that do. Like, there's a lot of people that have like a lot higher clientele than we do, so like for us to just like be like, oh well, we don't have the clientele for it or the demographic for it right now, so we shouldn't. It's like, that's kind of naive, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Especially when we have easy access to it, and a lot of people do not have easy access to it.
And I think like sometimes like with that we forget about trial and error. That's the one thing that allows us to get here, and it's like, hey, like, let's try it, let's buy 10 pieces, let's see how it works, you know what I mean?
And like sometimes I get fearful of it. Like, I honestly was thinking about that when we switched over our website. Like, we literally, so just recently we switched over our website to Shopify, and like, I don't know, like, even when I was doing it, I was like, oh, is this a good idea? Like, Etsy as a landing page works so well for us. Like, you know what I mean? Like, should we try this out? And I was like, honestly, just do it. Like, it's trial and error. Like, you'll never know if something's gonna work if you don't try it out.
And the thing I like about the whole transition for Shopify as well is that like now the customer does not have to leave our website to purchase something. They can literally tap it and it brings them directly to the item, and if they want to purchase it right away. So I think in terms of just efficiency and continuing that funnel, it's so much better. Because like I'm the type of person too, it's like if I'm reading an article, I get annoyed when I have to click this link to go there. Then I gotta sign in. Like you know what I mean?
Not reading the article.
It's just the most. It's just the most. I know it's like really small and like a minute thing to look at, but in terms of like the consumer, you always want it to be as like streamlined as possible.
And it does make a difference, especially when like people have a store, literally a store in the palm of their hands. But at the same time, like when you're in a store in the mall and you're walking around or whatever, you're kind of like in that moment. You know, like there's not many things that can really like distract your attention because you're in the actual physical store. Whereas like when you're online and you're looking at a store, there's like a message that could come up that could distract you. There's another like whatever website that can come up.
Like one of your apps.
Yeah, one of your apps. Like
people could die.
There's literally so many different factors that can come up. So I feel like when you're online, you have such a short window to really like capture people. Like that's one of the reasons why like a lot of times people will like buy stuff through Instagram a lot of the times, because they're already there. They're already like captivated in the moment. They see it there. It's just a quick message to the seller, and it's an easier interaction. You know, like it's just like you want to like narrow and limit the amount of distraction, because when people are distracted, that's gonna interfere with you getting a sale.
No, 100%. And especially with that too, right? There have been times where someone will message us about an item. I'll be like, yeah, the information is X, Y, and Z. Just make the password this, and then they're like, oh crap, I totally forgot. Like, you know what I mean? And for me, it's like, I don't like hassling people to buy something, like, you know? Because I'm the type of person, it's like, hey, like, if I'm gonna buy something, I'm gonna buy it now. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you're gonna bother me, it's like, why is he bothering me so much? Why is he like that? Especially when you don't know
the person. Exactly,
or even know the business, you know what I mean? So I don't ever want to come off like a bit sketchy. Especially with Instagram too, right? It's just not like, you guys have never met us before, but we have to make sure you're as comfortable as possible. shopping with us and like sending us over money before you even receive a product, right?
And that's such a real like dark area of like selling online and e-commerce. Like I'm pretty sure, I don't know, I've never been scammed online, but like I know a ton of people that have, and like I feel like in the back of everyone's mind when they're buying stuff online, like there's always that like weird interaction. It's like they're kind of waiting for something like off to happen for them to be like, yeah, like this is a sketchy, like whatever sketchy situation, I'm not gonna purchase anymore because they said this, or they were too needy or too like pushy for me to do the sale or whatever. Like I feel like they're just scamming me. So I feel like that's also in the back of our head too. Like we want to interact with people in like a non-alarming way, so they don't think anything weird is up, because we'd obviously never do anything weird.
Because I think for us it's always making people feel comfortable and just making the transaction as easy as possible. Okay, so I think that's everything that we had to really look at today. Is there anything that you have any final words? I'm not gonna waste my time because you never have any final words, which I don't understand. Babe, can you just like surprise me one day and just like have a one final word, please?
Okay. I'll try my best.
Alright, thanks, babe. I appreciate you. Okay, thank you guys so much for joining us on another episode of Business is Pleasure. Thank you so much for keeping up with our content. If you guys have any questions, hit us up in the DM or the comment section. But until next time, peace.